Well, I think we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to Portimao. Obviously, it wouldn't be the F1 game if it didn't have an issue with it. And yeah, what more could you want? um, so some say Michel Goris, he's still driving around on the original lobby and winning. It won't count, don't worry. And Jess Ball has turned her microphone up. So we are waiting for the drivers to put their liveries back on. Their liveries? What am I on about? Their setup's back on.
Lap is off. Just to avoid the glitch that we had just now with Michelle driving around whilst everyone else was stationed on the grid. And we don't want that another lobby restart, so we thought formation lap off. And weather settings is similar to what the original weather was for the race, but we won't spoil it for you in chat. You have to guess, but it's the same weather as it was in the original lobby.
And you know what, Jess? They got the same weather settings and people still complained. So it just goes to show you can't please everybody.
No.
And that's why I don't listen to them. I just make the rules up, change them as we go. Absolutely. It's only my league for one more year, though. Keep that in mind. We are here through to December. It'll be a Qatar finale, but it's going to be a Portuguese opener. Welcome back to those of you in the stream. JACKOCAR Season 9 is go, and Kieran leads away then on the run down to turn 1. Where does Corey go? Looks to the inside. Arnold is there as well. Kieran squeezed out. Arnold wide, but takes the lead. He might have got a penalty for that, but it's perfectly legal. And we see a spinning Kieran further back. Around he goes. Contact. All of these drivers having an issue. That's a big incident, and I'm sure we'll get a safety car, and we do get a safety car. Arnold does what he did in Las Vegas and leads after turn 1. Can he get it done tonight? I know there's 33 laps to go, but there'll be many Arnold fans watching. And further down the order, we saw Kieran getting turned by possibly Leroy, possibly Waze. Didn't quite see it. But Kieran has lost out on his big advantage that he had of pole position. And Jess, what did you see of that? Because I missed loads.
All I just saw was cars flying everywhere, and I didn't see who it was because there was a lot of tyre smoke, so it was hard to tell who went into who. But yeah, pretty much most people in the back got involved. I know Michelle's got no front wing. I'm just trying to see if anyone else got no front wing. I think Casper's got no front wing as well. So I think it must have been Casper and Kieran that might have gone into contact. But again, hard to judge. And Jamie, even though he's got no damage, he's dropped all the way into 19th as well. So that's a bit of a shot for him. But they can't pit their mandatory stops now until the end of lap 3. And any safety car stop after that. And it only allowed 1. But Leroy goes into the pit lane to serve his non-mandatory because I think he's got no front wing.
Yep, non-mandatory purely because we are not at lap 3 yet. Of course, lap 1 and lap 2 you can do as you wish. Then lap 3 onwards, your first pit stop is classed as mandatory, and all the people without front wings are going in. There might be a handful that may have to share a box here, but it won't really matter too much under safety car, and you don't blame these guys at all for pitting. Here is Kieran, new front wing for the pole sitter.
I will note down the non-mandatories, actually. I forgot about that.
Yep, absolutely. Of course, mandatory pit stops between lap 3 and 20 count as your stage 1 mandatory, or first half of the race mandatory, and then 21 and beyond is when they have to make their second mandatory stop. So welcome back to JACKOCAR rules. I know me and Jess are also rusty at this present time, but it's Arnold who leads the first lap of the season. And it was a great shame last season. All the big names winning races: Corey, Khalifa, Ben Harrett, Gareth, Ben Shaw. You know, they all won races apart from this man. And he's been stuck on 11 for a couple of years now. But with a move to Germany and now baby in arms, Arnold is looking very refreshed. He was very aggressive on the outside at turn 1. Obviously, Kieran got pushed back, and then Arnold was seeing Corey on his inside, and he thought, nope, this is my position, and he took it, and that's why he is there now. In P1, Corey is second, Khalifa is third. So even though it's a mystery calendar, we still have 3 names at the very top that you would expect to see. So, and then also, look at this, I've only just noted, Waze 4th, Quinn 5th. Great start for the promoted drivers.
This track. They both like this track, so Waze did well, I think, when he was reserving last season in the Cup Series. I think he finished in the top 10, so not surprised to see him up there, but it's good that the 2 drivers that we moved up because they were too quick are doing well at the moment and avoided the pilot, which was in turn 1, because I think Quinn was in the top, I think was in 10th, and Waze was, hold on, let me check my screenshot.
He was above him in 9th.
Yeah, so I don't know how they avoided it because Caspen got collected, so did Leroy, so they must have had good dodging skills to avoid that.
Good dogging skills is what Jess said. You all heard that.
Dodging, I said.
And, well, it just makes me think that perhaps it was Leroy that spun Kieran. However, I did note out the corner of my eye Kieran with his wheels turned and going back across the track when they should have been straight, really. So maybe Kieran causing more carnage than was required. It wouldn't surprise me. The dirty little cheater from Aylesbury. And unfortunate for Casper, who ended last season in the wall, starts this season at the back. P19 for the young Finn. But based on last season's form, he will not finish there. He will be much towards the front. Just you wait. Believe me. Anyway, the last time that Arnaud de Grief led a restart here in Portugal, what happened, Jess?
He went too early, and there was a big pile-up.
And who was directly behind him? It was you.
It's your fault. A lap down, and it was a time where we could stay out, and we could just I had to go to the side and let people through.
There you go. Jess Ball
that's changed now.
At fault. So Arnold disqualified because Jess got in the way, and yeah, there you go. Let's see if he gets this one right. Remember, it's the orange wall on the left. I know someone who didn't remember. Arnoud de Grief waits for his moment. Ben Shaw avidly watching from his... I don't know where he's watching from, but further back we see some changes. Quinn gets on the jump of Waze straight away, and look at this absolute fiasco down into turn 1. Who's going to come out here? Quinn, has a little bit of bumpy time with Ben Harrett, but they get away with it. Gareth Hall up into P6. The Mountain Dew car of Jamie Griffiths is off in the background. OKK up to P11. Yellow flags fly, but we're racing this time. And on the back of Gareth sits Yori Hazalaga. Will he go for a move into turn 5? No, he won't. They will think better of it. Lots of tyre smoke once again. Gareth won this race last season. Don't forget that. OKK into the top 10 in the Cup Series. And let's hope he finishes there or above later in the race. Obviously, everyone an OKK fan if they're not an Arnaud fan. Waze, with his problems, has dropped down to P12. And Michel, who is still 6 minutes and 3 laps ahead, is actually P13 according to the F1 game. And here is Matt Shep looking for an optimistic move down the inside of Jake O'Sullivan, who we see struggling and lounging around at the back, but he won't want to be behind Michelle for too long. Up the inside he goes, and Matt Shepard getting a big welcome to JACKOCAR from Leroy Hazalaga and across. No. Yeah, well, who's at fault there? Leroy, very aggressive. I think you'll find just about within the rules. It was a very unfortunate late braking incident for Matt Shepard, which sees him drop down to P19, but back to the front. Arnold still leads this race from Corey Dalton, then Khalifa. Quinn going well in 4th with Ben Harrett, the midfield man. Once again, not in the midfield. He's a top 25% man. That's his new name. Gareth, P6. Jess, what have you seen?
I've seen 2 people do their mandatory stops. That is Leroy and Michelle. Well, they were involved in a fiasco anyway, as we had Jamie Griffiths has had a spin. But yeah, we had 2 drivers that have done their first stops already. They can't pit again until the end of lap 21, but that's their first stop done. And that'll be handy if we get another safety car. And Mike Kelterborn has been passed by both Waze and Jake in towards turn 7.
And Jake O'Sullivan flying here. We saw many a time last season where Jake was down towards the back and he come through the field and you just think, is there anything this man can't do? Down the inside of the Joker, risky. Will he make this stick? There's contact! And they both just about keep it away from each other. Jake O'Sullivan gets repassed by Waze on the outside, but Jake has the inside. Sullivan Lewis gets turned around, and that is Jake into the gearbox of Sullivan. That might have ruined the Joker. Only yellow flags, no safety cars. And it's Casper, who, by the way, was 19th at the restart, is now on the back of his old teammate. This should be a good one to watch down towards turn one. Arnold still leads from Corey then. What will Casper do? Is the DRS open this time? No, it's not. We got one more lap. Casper to the inside. They're going to be free wide into turn one. Waze gets out the way, and Jake gets the move done as we see Gareth off ahead. It's all going on in the early part of this race, and Casper now getting hit behind from what's his face? Mike Kelterborn of Germany, and Kieran recovering now in P13.
I think we have the top two definitely controlling, well, the top three controlling the pace. They're 1.6 seconds clear of Quinn in P4, so they're probably in a party together just looking at strategy, because obviously they won't have time to think of strategy as Jake gets past Gareth in towards the exit turn 7 and towards turn 8, and that was a nice move for Jake O'Sullivan. That's more like the Jake that we're used to be seeing in JACKOCAR, and he's going to be chasing down OKK for P9. Khalifa has dropped back from Corey now, so I think he's not going to get DRS from him anymore, which may not help him a little bit, but Arnold and Corey still going strong up front, doing all they can to be the first driver to make it into the playoffs. Once they're in the playoffs, they don't even need to turn up this season if they they have to, because otherwise they get into the chase like a certain Ben Shaw did last season.
And here goes Corey for the lead. Ends 6 laps of Arnold dominance so far, but there is contact between the two ELT boys. Corey won't like that, but it shows that Arnold is not afraid to get aggressive with his teammates. And of course, we saw him almost win that title last season, didn't we? And it's just such a shame he didn't. Am I sounding like an Arnold fan? I might be. But yeah, Corey leads this race here in Portugal, and Jess rightfully pointing out any of these drivers, if they win tonight, they go straight to the playoffs, with the exception of Matt Shepherd, the Kia Series reserve driver. But at the moment, lap 7, 1/6, 1/5 of the way through. I'm no good at maths, but it is Corey Dalton who leads here in the Algarve sun.
And I think he's going to try and stay there for Arnold. It might be a switcheroo from these two drivers in a few laps' time, maybe before they go into the pit stops. There's no teammates in JACKOCAR, so they don't know who they're going to be paired up with in terms of the pit box. So that's going to be hard in terms of when they decide to come in, because they don't want to get a double stack. Meanwhile, Pete's looking good in sixth. He's chasing down the midfield man, Ben Harrett for P5. Don't forget Ben's on more durable mediums, Pete on softs, but realistically softs can make it there. As we've got Quinn, who's making his first pit stop of the evening, so that's one done for him on his first return to the Cup Series full time. And Pete stays behind Ben Harrett for now as he chases down P4. More stops at the background for Gareth and Waze.
It's all going on here, Jess. Sorry to interrupt. Jake O'Sullivan goes through on the inside of OKK and Kieran. What a move that was. And he really is making the moves he needs to get back towards the front. We called it late, but turn 1, Jake O'Sullivan gets 2 for the price of 1 as Leroy sets the fastest lap. And yeah, as you were saying, early stop from Quinn. He knows he's not going to win this stage 1 playoff point, but it does make you wonder, do those soft tyres of the front 3, do they have enough rubber left in them to get to lap 10 and then complete another lap before they can pit? Maybe Ben Harrett, it could be worth his weight in gold here for a stage point, and of course a stage point would put him level in championship terms with Kieran Spears, who, by the way, what's the time? 1955 GMT, still leads the championship. Of course, don't forget, is his only round 1. Pete Knighton having issues behind Ben Harrett, a little bit slidey. His softs are starting to go, and Arnold starting to catch back up as we see Corey dive to the pits. Arnold will lead lap 8 then. So only 1 lap led for Corey, and Khalifa also in the pits. So you'd like to think that Arnold stretching these tyres, or will he let Ben Harrett have the point? Because if the... What am I missing?
That that was, I think, a bit of a squirm from Arnold, as I think he's struggling with those soft tyres. So I think it's going to be hard to get those to the end. We've got to keep an eye on the gap between Arnold and Ben Spurs, though, as we head towards the stage point. If it comes down justly enough, we know that Arnold would come in. But actually, the gap is increasing. So Arnold is definitely pushing on those soft tyres. I'm looking at his ERS. It's about 70%. So even without the use of ERS, he's doing a decent job to have poured a decent gap to himself and Ben Spurs. I think the ones that have just pitted, the likes of Khalifa and Corey, they probably know they weren't going to get the stage point, so they decided to come in and get their first stops out of the way.
Yeah, I thought that the undercut was the more powerful one here. Am I wrong? Have I been that far out
you're
of
right.
the...
Undercut, in most tracks, undercut is more powerful than overcut.
Okay, I know something. There we go. You heard it here first. Michael O'Keke runs in P5, the only man this season who is competing officially in both tiers as a full-timer, Kia and Cup. I believe it or not, I only had 19 drivers for Cup Series signed up as much as 2 days ago. Arnold pits, by the way. He's going to give it to Ben Harrett.
I'm surprised.
So there you go. Oh, I'm surprised as well. Maybe those tyres were running off. But yeah, O'Keke, a last-minute call-up, but certainly a welcome return. For the number 97 car. It says free, but it is 97, let me assure you, because this game, Jess, is rubbish. But Arnold comes out ahead of Corey, and by quite some distance as well.
So there you go. Though. He had the pace, even though the undercut works. He stretched the gap. He was pushing. You can tell, I think it was his in-lap looking back at it, because he was pushing to make sure he gets ahead of Corey. So even if the undercut works, if you have the pace, you can probably try and get ahead anyway. And he's got the fresher tyres as well, so he can try and go for the next stage point, which will be lap 20. So he can probably try and push for that. Still 5 drivers yet to do their mandatory. Oh, as Yuri is struggling on those soft tyres, I would expect him to go in this lap.
Don't mind me, just doing a quick VAR check. To confirm that Arnold did indeed lead lap 9, but Ben Harrett got 10, which means that Ben Harrett, will get 10 because he is leading the race. That's why. Here he comes then. The first stage of the season, the first stage point goes to Ben Harrett. He leads lap 10, and that puts him level with Kieran Spears in championship terms, in playoff point terms at least. And look who has made his way up to P2. Jake O'Sullivan. Never count him out. The two-time champion, the only two-time champion on this grid because of Jamie Wright's absence. What can he do? Can he become a three-time champion? Who knows? Kieran, the pole sitter, has made his way back up to third. But of course, we are in a pit stop window where all the field is looking very shuffled. Of course, Mr. Sullivan Lewis on his Joker. It got spun by Jake O'Sullivan, don't forget, so that may impact his race result. And what's happened?
I think it was Leroy that made contact with P, and he spun round and he's dropped down to 14th.
Yeah, we see a recovering Leroy, and that's the third time he's had contact in this race. It has not been his day. 15th, soon to be 16th, as his brother gets into the DRS. No DRS for him, but those tyres will be shot on Leroy. Very unfortunate for him. I didn't see what happened. What did happen, Jess? You tell me. You tell us, even.
I think, again, he just got a bit squirmy ending towards turn 3, and then lost the back end, and then made contact, and he spun.
Silly. A comment from our good friends at TGP Series. Apparently Kieran's been practicing. I can tell you, he definitely hasn't. None of them have, because none of them knew where they were racing until 7 o'clock this evening.
Unless Kieran predicted it was going to be Portugal.
Very bold of him to do so. What happens now, though, of course, everyone knows it's not going to be Portugal again this season, so it's one less track to practice, isn't it?
Yep.
So we see OKK make his pit stop. Yep, so there's 2. So it can only be one of 21, and that gets slightly easier every week. If the drivers know me well enough, they will work out which tracks I'm going to put into the calendar, because we don't race at the god-awful tracks like China and France. Singapore would be too long. I'm giving too much away here, aren't I?
Well, not all drivers watch the streams back, you see. So
That's very true.
If they watch the streams back, then they're an advantage against the drivers who haven't.
They would know, wouldn't they?
Exactly.
But By the way, we missed an overtake for the lead. Jake now up front ahead of Ben Harrett. So, Jess, I'll let you talk so I can see when that overtake happened. Ben Harrett did indeed lead lap 11.
Jacko doing a little bit of a bar check.
Yeah, we love a VAR check here. Kieran leads lap 12. Yeah, and this is only so I don't have to watch the race back. That's all that is.
Yeah. So you're making notes as you're going on. I can't do that in Kia because I'm racing.
Mm-hmm.
So you.
Well, I used to have somebody called Owen Wyatt like do the talking bit, and then I could do all these notes. But now I just do everything. And it's bloody hard work. I know you're taking notes, but you're doing the non-mandatory stuff, so, you know, we'll be all right. We'll get through it.
Yeah, you do the lap sled, I do the non-mandatories. Boom.
Works for me. By the way, Corey Dawson has closed that gap to Arnaud, and Quinn is ahead of Khalifa on merit. So has Khalifa had a problem? He's certainly not liking the medium tyres out of Turn 5, but let's go to this Corey and Arnaud battle. I think this is for the race win, as it stands at least. Of course, you never know in JACKOCAR. There may well be, and most likely will be, a safety car movement at the back. Yori ahead of Michelle, and Mike gets ahead of Leroy. Waze picks up a penalty. None of the top 5 have penalties. Casper is the leading driver that does. We are still with Corey for the moment, though, as Arnaud just gets a slightly better exit. And you see that gap go up to nearly a second, but it'll come back down now as Corey utilises some ERS and opens the DRS. There it goes, but it won't be enough to overtake Arnaud at this time. Into Turn 1 they go, and then up to 2 and 3. Arnaud looking very good, isn't he? The closest he come to winning last season was that super speedway race in France, where he spun with quotation marks 1 corner to go. Of course, not really any true corners there. And Jess, whilst we have a moment, a lull in this race, Kia Series going to the super speedway this season.
I think when I saw the calendar, saw the super speedway, I really liked that.
Shit
even
yourself.
though I didn't do well in Cup. I didn't do very well in Cup. I was a lap down, and yeah, it was awful. But Redemption, I'm gonna do better than I did in Cup a few seasons ago around the super speedway. As Corey's had a bit of a moment through
Saw that one.
11. Yellow flag. That is that's Ben Harrett and Pete.
Wow. Pete waiting for the right moment to rejoin. Unfortunately,
VSC
rejoins at a moment when loads of cars are coming through. It is a VSC, and that helps Kieran Spears. He will lose the lead.
Don't forget, you can pit under VSC. It is allowed in this league. So that was well timed from Kieran.
This is a very mandatory stop, we're going to call that one. Bit of luck for him. Puts him back in this race, but it also puts Quinn up to P3. Who saw this one coming? Because I certainly didn't.
I didn't, but it's one of his favourite tracks on this game. It's one of his favourite tracks on this game. He's done well in other leagues, but I was not expecting him to be fighting against the top guys. I was expecting him to be where Casper is at the moment, like 10th or something. So could we see Quinn go into the playoffs this season?
God, I'll tell you what, he did have a... Hold on, I got some wind on the way. Pardon me, there it is. We did see Quinn, sorry Jess, have a run at the Cup Series. I did warn you. You had time to mute. We saw Quinn have a go at the Cup Series a few seasons ago, and he only lasted 3 or 4 races. But he promised me. I think. Yeah, he promised me he'll be here for the entire season this time around, and if he's going to be racing like this, then fair play to him. It also shows he definitely shouldn't have been in Kia last season far too fast, as Khalifa starts to really, as Gareth would say, tickle the backside of Quinn. And you expect this to be an easy move, but still a good showing. You would not argue with P4, would you, Danny Quinn, on night 1, opening night of the Cup Series. Down the main straight they go. Khalifa does take P3 off of him. So it is the 3 ERT boys up front, and Kieran comes out P5 after his VSC stop, by the way. Jake O'Sullivan not out of this one.
He's chasing down Kieran for P5. Another yellow flag. That is Risky that's spun in the background. So his hard tyres are definitely not operating well. But again, they don't know which track they've got their Joker in. They've picked the round, but they don't know what track it's going to be. And I think I won't be surprised if his Joker gets avoided tonight. As Pete and Casper having a battle up front. As Casper almost went wide into turn 2.
Caught the end of that one. I certainly saw one of them very wide in turn 2, but here comes Casper again. Does he get the move on Pete, who blocks him down the straight into turn 5, and Casper will not give him any room on exit. You did deserve that one, Pete. That's 1-1 as far as I'm concerned, so move done for Casper. We're going to leave them for the moment because MK and Yuri are fighting for what is currently P10. Remember, points all the way down the order. Providing you finish the race, that's all you have to do to get a point. But Yuri has not seen the last of Mike. He still looks like the slightly more lively one as we head into the final sector of lap 17. Arnaud leading the way with most laps led so far, of course. Most laps led now being brought to you by Tesco rather than Premier Inn this season. And there are yellow flags, but they are being cleared up for what I believe was Michael Okeke. No, I'm wrong.
Risky.
Not sure who. It was Risky, thank you very much. But here comes Yuri then. He's going to have the DRS history between these two. But on night 1, there's just going to be minimal drama as Yuri gets through once again. OKK running in P9. Casper getting past Michelle. And that really is it, isn't it, for the moment? We're waiting for lap 21 where we expect the first stoppers to come in. Maybe these guys are on soft tyres will go for another set of softs, and will they take them 12 laps to the end? They'll be burning, won't they?
Yeah.
But all the excitement yet to come as Arnaud, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this, has a 3-second lead. Yellow flags in our first retirement. Matt Shep, the Kia driver, is out in Portugal, and the safety car has been deployed at a critical time in this race.
That puts Risky back in this race. He could go onto the medium tyres, and he's on a Joker, so he can pick when he wants.
This is the time. And Risky has not won a race since, let me get this right.
Season 2? Austria?
Season 2. I was going to say October 2020. Something like that.
I think it was Austria.
It was Austria.
It was Austria, and he was near the bottom of the standings, and then he won that race, and that put him into the playoffs.
It's a race he needed to win. It's also a race where Bazza got a puncher, and that made life slightly easier. Matt Shepherd has made it quite interesting, actually. It's unfortunate that he's out, but he has made it very interesting. And the 3-second lead that I alluded to that Arnaud had has now been dissolved by the AMG Mercedes there.
We got some non-mandatories, as we've got Mike, Michelle, Pete, and Leroy and Jamie.
Thank you, Jess. I'm just taking this time to fill up my own admin. So far, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 laps led for Arnaud. 1 for Corey, 2 for Ben Harrett, and 3 for Kieran Spears. So anyone can win that most laps led playoff point at the moment, but it is Arnaud in control. And of course, he will gain a handful of laps under safety car here. But the big player in this one at the moment is Mr. Sullivan Lewis. That is a mandatory stop.
That is.
Am I correct?
That
Remind
is
me?
because with a Joker, you as long as you pit after the end of lap 3, you can pit whenever time you want.
Even if it's under a safety car, of course.
Yes,
I just happen to remind
correct.
myself of the rules. You can have
is
one
correct.
green flag
you can
stop
safety car, only one time.
and 1 safety car stop. So he's opted to go for a safety car stop, and it brought him out in last
I forgot
place.
about safety car stops. I just realised that. But
You're
again,
going to have to get your rubber out, Jess.
No, most of them have already done. Most of them have already done their 1 stop anyway, so they're all non-mandatory anyway. So, and it's not the end of that 21 yet.
No. So the only person who's complete is Mr. Lewis. What it's done is it's brought everybody back into the race that was not having quite such a good one. For those of you who caught the innuendo just then, congratulations. It was a good one.
It was. You're good at innuendos, aren't you?
Well, yes and no. I'm in and out when it comes to form and innuendos. Silence. Okay. Back to the front. Arnaud has led, obviously, another lap. This is... What's half of... Oh, yeah, we're well over halfway at this point, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we're more than halfway at this point.
So, let's... Whilst we have a little lull here, as we see a car go very wide. Casper. I saw that.
I saw that as well. You're not allowed to do that.
Yes. Well, that one's going to VAR.
I think
because that's wing damage.
You're not allowed to do it at all.
I wonder if he had a wheel disconnection before we start judging.
Yeah, that is true. He's got no front wing though.
Yes. Obviously, it won't count as a mandatory stop anyway because we're still before the lap 21 threshold. I was going to say, Jess, what other memories do we have of Portugal in the league whilst we have this moment to talk?
I remember, I think it was one Cup Series race when it was raining for most of it.
Yes, Ben's first win or second win, it would have been something like that.
Yeah, and Ben winning most of the Portimao races until Gareth won last season.
Yeah, Ben Shaw unbeaten in the Cup Series until, like you say, last season. But basically, we said the same thing, but I said it in a male voice. Yeah. Mr. Sullivan Lewis, by the way, has just voided his Joker.
Ah. Why?
I don't know. I had the camera set to him, and I just totally oblivious to what's going on until I realised he's already made a pit stop. Let me go back to the stop situation. There you go. 2 stops, so that's a void Joker.
I know Pete's just done a non-mandatory as well. And I believe any safety car stops done after lap 21 will count.
Yes, because nobody would have pitted under safety car prior to now. But it's going to be in this lap anyway. But yeah, risky. I wonder if he's done that just to give himself an extra lap of life. Like the 5 extra points for the Joker win is maybe less important than the win itself. I mean, it's an extra lap of tyre. Or did he pick up wing damage through Casper's stupidity? Who knows? But
I will
Arnaud,
check actually whilst you go through the restart.
Thank you very much. Arnaud is going to lead another restart here. Remember, he had just 3 laps ago a 3-second lead, and
no front wing damage for Risky.
No front wing damage. Interesting. But we're about to get underway again here in Portimao. Then Arnaud de Grief leads the field around. He's doing what Ben Shaw normally does around here. And does he go early? Has he remembered his mistake from the past? Yes, he has. And away he goes. Look at them fan out behind. Some drivers got a much better restart. Jake O'Sullivan being one of them. But down into turn 1, who leads the way? It's the Belgian. And Khalifa is 3rd. Corey 2nd. Kieran up to 4th. Danny Quinn, P5, now P4, Gareth up to 6. Remember, he won this race last year with a late race restart. Jake has dropped to P7 despite the good start. Maybe he had a penalty he had to give back. OKK 9th, Ben Harrah 8th. And Jake fighting his way back up to P6. Where does he go? Down into turn 5. He waits for his moment. It's Gareth we're on board with. Slow exit from Jake in front. He's going to have OKK on his outside. It becomes the inside. And Jake is really falling away here, isn't he? Can you see this in turn 8? Does he struggle with traction? No, there's nothing wrong with that car that we can visually see. OKK gets a 5-second penalty. What's going on, Jess?
Yeah, I think there's been yellow flags for most of this lap already, which is weird because.
And now it's green, so we are racing once again. So everything I just commentated on.
But also.
Hopefully not. But oh yeah, they will, wouldn't they? Because they're 5 seconds. Okay. Oh, way to ruin it.
They're 5 seconds, and it was yellow flags where it shouldn't have been yellow flags.
Expect pitters this time by. Corey is the first of them. Arnold leads. Khalifa stays out with him. What does Kieran do? Waze stays out. Ben Harrett stays out. And we have a race on our hands here now. 11 laps to go in Portugal. It's all starting to come alive. It's a classic JACKOCAR ending. This is what you tuned in for.
Oh!
And Ben Harrett, yellow flags.
Someone's had a bit of a spin. I didn't see who it was.
Is there a safety car?
Yes,
there is. Now then.
The only ones that are pitted under the not mandatories are Corey and Quinn. They've done their 2 stops. That's them done.
Yep.
And obviously risky.
So everybody, correct me if I'm wrong. Everybody. What is Corey's just overtaken a safety car? Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense.
Jacko.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. Everybody in the top 16, with the exception of Sullivan in 14th, can pit under safety car. So this outlap that you're seeing from Corey and Quinn is vital that they catch up to the back of the train, which currently Leroy is at the back of. I think they're all going to come in here.
Because basically, with the rules, if there was safety cars during the non-mandatory stages anyway, those don't count towards your safety car free stops, I believe.
Let's find out. Arnold in, Khalifa, Kieran, Ben Harrett, Waze, Jake, OKK, Yuri, Michelle, Ben Harrett. Casper stays out. Oh, well then.
Does he know he can service stop?
Well. This is going to be an interesting one to decipher at the end. Casper leads in Portugal with Pete Knight in second. But look at risky race to the man we know who doesn't have to pit. Whoa. Casper's made 4 stops. Jess, do me a favour and check when Pete and Casper last pitted, please. That's what we need to know right now. Arnold, well, everyone basically.
It was the last safety. It was the last safety car before the end of the second stage. So I've noted that down.
Which come in at lap 20, so they have to pit again.
Yes.
So right.
I'll check race director just to be sure.
This league is unbelievable.
Yeah. Pete came in. Pete and Casper both came in lap 19. Pete was to go to mediums, and Casper. Pete. Yeah. So Casper had a front wind change. That's why he had to come in. Oh, what happened to Corey there?
He must have had to have shared a box with one of the front 3, or well, either Arnold or Khalifa, because they. Actually, no, that's not true, is it? Arnold was the only driver ahead of him. So he must have shared a box, or gone off, or what. But from what I can work out, from what I can 100% tell you, Sullivan Lewis leads this race. Yes. Pete and Casper have to pit again. That is a fact.
No, Risky's not the net race leader because he's got a 3-second penalty.
Let's ignore penalties. Don't ruin it for us, Jess. Don't be boring. Mr. Lewis is your net race leader. What an unbelievable league this is, isn't it? It never fails.
You don't have to be the fastest driver.
Say again? You don't have to be the fastest driver.
As long as you get the right strategy.
And for those of you that don't understand, neither do I. It's been 6 weeks away. This is the first time I've turned my PlayStation on since JACKOCAR. And I come straight back into this. I say we all come back and get to experience this absolute chaotic carnival of which Arnold has dominated this race so far for a good 18 laps or so. But he finds himself in P4 with 2 drivers unwilling to pit. And Risky will get aggressive. He may well have a penalty. But it's the kind of penalty you can see Arnold going down the inside and then it be boring and Khalifa will end up winning the race. It's that type of race. But there will be drama. There will be crashes and spins and punches and front wings everywhere. And we have at least 8 laps of it once we get going. I'm not sure what happened to Quinn because he pitted.
Stop.
He made another stop. Well, that was silly, wasn't it? He was having a fantastic race as well. So of the two newbies, it's Waze that finds himself the higher of the two. And the safety car will be in this lap. So now Casper and Pete have lost their chance to pit under safety car because, of course, you cannot follow the safety car in and it be a mandatory stop. Well then, strap in is all I can say. Portugal, as ever, delivering. Ben Shaw kicking himself in Merseyside for not being here on opening night, the reigning champion, where he has 4 race wins here from the past. Casper will control the restart, but Casper, as well as Pete, will have to pit. Sullivan, Lewis, Arnaud de Grief, Khalifa, El Khalifa, your front 3. Kieran, Corey, Waze, Yori, and Michelle make up the top 10. Let's go on board with Casper, and let's see what he does. It's a slow restart, and this is perfectly legal. What isn't perfectly legal is Risky getting side by side with Pete. But when will Casper go? Risky tucks back in. And it's now all down on Casper. Orange barrier on the left. Foot down and away he goes. Arnaud gets a fantastic start. And Pete is trying to block. Let's go on board with Arnaud because this could end in tears. Pete leaves him a car's width and around they go at turn 1. That's Pete spinning and a big crash behind. Arnaud is up into P2, which will become P1. Pete stuck his nose in at the inside and that's going to be his fault entirely. Pete out of this race. Safety car is out as well, and that, I think, may well be that.
I think Pete must have made contact with someone again, and that caused that pile. I'm just seeing who's got damage out of the drivers that were, I think, involved in that, but it's hard to see with the camera angle. I think most people got away scot-free.
Jess, if you talk to the people, I will go to a live VAR check.
So far, Casper still yet to stop to do his mandatory. Everyone else in P2 downwards have done their mandatory stops, so they can go on those tyres to the end of the race. Realistically, Arnaud has the better chance winning this one. There was a few people that did drop down, Risky dropping down to 10th due to the fresher rubber on those soft compounded tyres from the likes of Ben Harrett, Corey, Jamie Griffiths up to 5th. Ways in 6th, but bearing in mind people have penalties, but let's forget about penalties. So what happened to... Oh. I think Mike Kelterborn had a wheel disconnection because that's not Mike Kelterborn for him to do something like that. So he's out of this race as well. I caught that.
I'm glad someone did because I was looking down. VAR inconclusive, so that will be up to Pete if he wants to report it. It looks like they gave as good as each other there, Pete and Arnaud, into turn 1. From what I can work out, happened far too fast.
Yeah.
And Jamie Griffiths now out of this race. Oh, he's left the session, sorry.
Yeah, he's not out of the race yet. He's 4th.
But he does need to rejoin. Oh, I got a lot of wind, Jess. I'm really sorry.
Don't apologise. As we've got Risky, Wade, Excite, Quinn, Kieran and Leroy opting to go for the fresher rubber until the end of this race. For some people, Wade is on, I think, older softs. That is interesting. Whereas the likes of Risky, Excite, Quinn, Kieran and Leroy are on the fresher softs, so they can push to the end. I'll keep an eye on Risky again because he's still not out of this one to win it because he'll be on the fresh rubber compared to the likes of the top 10 who staying out because they want track position. But this is the good thing about this league. Even if you've done your mandatories, you can still pit at the end at a last safety car and go on fresher rubber and get advantage out of the drivers around you. So I would say Corey is at a disadvantage this time compared to Arnaud, but could Corey still go? I think Corey could still get this win, but I think it's going to be a tough ask. Ben Harrett as well. He's in a good shot. Jamie. The KK up to 6th. And Jamie Griffiths goes into the pits. I wonder if that's his AI, Jacko.
That is his, 100% that's his AI. What a shame for Jamie Griffiths, who had managed to get himself into 4th with all the carnage. And I do come to you bearing some news in my minor absence there. Arnaud de Grief led lap 20, which gives him the stage 2 victory. And also now cannot be overtaken. He has the most laps led, which makes him the championship leader in playoff terms. And of course leads this race. A win would do him absolute wonders, wouldn't it? But I wonder if Pete Knighton will have something to say about that. The run down to turn 1. It's something that you would expect to be reported. Hopefully not, because I would like a quiet night, as ever. And let's not forget, these drivers, they are limited to a maximum of 3 reports per season. We've taken on the TGP series style of, reporting, where they're entitled to 3 reports per season. And if they have one go in their favour, then they get their report credit back. As we introduced it last season, but it's something TGP have done for a long while now. And I think it's the most efficient way of stewarding, because it stops the petty reports from these idiots who don't want to race will to will.
That's
Isn't
also
that right,
in the
Jess?
Kia series too.
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. They're limited to 3 as well.
Yes.
So we've had a VSC and 3 safety cars.
I can't remember. It's been a long race already.
Yeah, I think we may have one more in us, as Jamie Griffiths does rejoin, as his AI car cycles down the order. Jake O'Sullivan somehow finds himself in P15 after the incredible pace that he was showing. We are going to go for another lap behind the safety car as well, which just gives Arnaud more laps led, is all it does.
Yep.
And so 5 race leaders in this race: Arnaud, Corey, Ben Harrett, Kieran and Casper. But we all remember what happened last season. Where is he? Gareth.
8th.
P8.
No
P8.
penalties.
No penalties.
I'll check to see.
Does he dare to dream? The Princess of Portimao. I'm sure his king will be, or her king, I should say, is watching on. Fingers, toes, intestines, all crossed.
Everything.
Absolutely everything. Even that. Yeah, Gareth. 2-time race winner in the Cup Series, once in the Kia Series. So he's about as good as me, because I have 3 wins total.
He's won 2 in Cup. Monza.
Yep, 2 plus 1.
Oh, 3, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
you said, I thought you said 2 overall. Sorry, my bad.
No, I'm not that thick, Jess. So yeah, Gareth Hall starting to dream. It was about 8th position where he come from last season with 2 laps to go, wasn't it? And if you remember the Monza victory, he was P13, P14 with a lap to go. Ended up winning there. I'm going to take this moment to have a quick drink, because it could get spicy.
Gareth's got no... I looked at warnings, by the way, for Gareth. He's got no warnings at all. I find it hard to get no warnings around this track. So, fair play to him.
So then, let's ignore all these penalties, because...
Yes. Scrap them.
Yeah, let's just say they're racing to the flag now, unless, of course, we get a safety car. Arnaud de Grief, this is 100% the 3rd time he has led a restart in this race. Casper did 1 as well, and we had a VSC. So that's 5 safety car incidences. So I think we're done. Going to have ourselves a 5-lap shootout to the end. This is the man who has been the man to beat all night. A man who couldn't win last season. But can he find himself on the top step of a JACKOCAR podium for the first time in 2 years? Arnaud de Grief, slow restart, but gets away well. Corey and Ben Harrod and Casper will all follow. By the way, things have worked out for Casper with that pit stop under safety car. He's now back up in the top 5, as is Khalifa, but Arnaud leads the way. Yori gets a penalty. Into turn 3 comes the race leader. Corey and Ben Harrod, all fighting with Casper there. All it does is it allows Arnaud to build up a lead of over 1 second, but he is on the lesser tyre, if you will, compared to Corey. So will Corey come back towards the latter part of this race? OKK still going well in P6. And Sullivan Lewis, or no, Gareth has dropped down to P13. Sullivan Lewis is down to P10, that the man who was the Joker. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be quite working out. Jake O'Sullivan in the wars once again with Leroy Hazelager. Kieran completes the top 10. And here is Gareth. No, it's not. Here's Gareth. Get your fingers right. Gareth fighting with Jake O'Sullivan. A bit more of a calm and controlled restart this time as we look towards inside of 5 laps to go. The 134th Cup Series race, the 6th from Portimao, and the gap at the front is 1.7 seconds. Gareth P12, Michelle 13th, Leroy 14th, Jamie Griffiths, who is back in the lobby, and OKK, who was 6th, now is 16th. The biggest fight at the moment is this one, Yuri versus Khalifa. Remember, we are ignoring those penalties for the moment. And let's go on board with Yuri as Khalifa. Oh, bit of a moment there for Yuri. Quinn, by the way, is back up to P7. But yeah, Khalifa really struggling. Here it goes then. Yuri Hazelager to the inside of the Bahraini International, the Season 3 champion versus the 2-time Kia Series champion. And not Khalifa, Yuri gets it done. Up into P5 he goes. This is a good showing from the Dutchman, who's actually from Belgium, by the way. Ben Harrett, the midfield man, inside the top 20%, and we have a yellow flag. It's going to be for Risky, who has, I assume, gone around. We're not going to look at it because we're looking at Ben Harrett on the back of Casper Klein. Big moment for Ben Harrett, who keeps it out of the inside wall. Hello to you guys watching at home. Welcome to the final inside 4 laps of this JACKOCAR race. It's had a bit of everything, as ever. 5 safety car periods, it's kind of standard, and a bit of controversy as well, which I'm sure we'll see later on. But Ben Harrett has one more lap to wait until the DRS is open, but a fastest lap from Arnaud as he takes that away from Kieran. There is your DRS. Ben Harrett closing on Casper. Corey not closing on race leader Arnaud, who we know is very good hit. And what is the closest fight at the moment is actually Quinn versus Khalifa. Khalifa, who is struggling, but not losing touch with Yuri. But here comes Quinn. He'll have a little bit of ERS here. Khalifa, heavy defense to the inside. He's going to force Quinn out wide. Can he do anything with that? Absolutely not. That's perfect defending from Mr. El Khalifa. That he's been here a time or two, hasn't he? He knows exactly what he's doing. Waze gets past Michelle further down the grid, and Michelle then returns the favour. Lap 31 of 33. Inside 3 to go. Jess, have you seen anything, or are they all appearing to be quite calm, apart from this man? Look at that. Kieran down the inside of Quinn.
Through turn 11, clean move. They're going to do a bumper and run through turn 11. Oh, there was contact with Quinn and Khalifa, and they got front wing damage.
Khalifa actually got turned back around by, I assume it was Jake there.
Probably, yeah.
Arnaud with another fastest lap. 2 to go in Portugal. And Gareth is, I've seen that happen before. Gareth to the outside of Khalifa. He tried his heavy defense. Risky is out of this race. Can Gareth get past Khalifa before turn 1? You know he can, but another bump and run move. Khalifa sideways, and Quinn has spun at the inside of turn 2. It's going to be too late for a safety car. Khalifa out of this race. We're going to have a minimum of 15 finishers. But Gareth has made his way up to P7. By the way, look at that gap, 3.5 seconds. Arnaud versus Corey. 1.5 laps to go here in Portugal. Yuri P5, Kieran P6. It's all calmed down, hasn't it? Michel Goris, who hasn't had a top 10 finish in over a season, gets past Jake O'Sullivan. There's one more position for you. Fantastic stuff. And well, where did it all go wrong for Danny Quinn? He was looking so good earlier on for a podium, and now finds himself down in P13, presumably with no front wing. Yep, I was right. Leroy also getting past Jake, who's having one of his races. It's an awful run of form, which has continued into this season for him. But let's go on board with this man. It's 1 to go in Portugal, and Arnaud de Grief trying to recover the past, or make up for the past, his lost race win that we so cruelly took away for a restart infringement. There it is, it's race confirmed. Then 3-second penalty for Corey. All Arnold has to do is keep it on the straight and narrow and hope that Pete Knighton doesn't report turn one. It's something that I can't call on stream. Too much happened.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know, Jess, how many days are we? 45 days since he lost that championship in Las Vegas. 45 days since an entire season without a race win. 2 years without a race win in JACKOCAR. Arnaud de Grief is on his way and making up and doing everything he can to become what would be the third highest all-time race wins leader in the Cup Series. Of course, behind Jamie Wright on 19, Khalifa on 14 race wins. This would put Arnaud on to 12. And I do hope that he gets to keep it this time. He's lost one here before, but he has one corner to go. Can he do it on track? Arnaud de Grief, it's easy, it's done, it's your ticket to the playoffs, and Arnaud is there. P1 for him, fantastic stuff. And Corey with a deserved P2. He didn't have an answer this evening. The midfield man will actually end up fourth, and Casper somehow, against all the odds, is P3. Kieran jumps ahead of Ben Harrett. And I'm sure that we're going to have to take a few of these penalties off if what we saw was correct earlier on, Jess.
Unless they served it.
Unless they served, absolutely. So yeah, Ben Harrett, a third, drops all the way to P8. But in my mind, there is no doubt of the race winner. Arnaud de Grief, P1. He has done it on the big stage. Michel Goris, driver of the day, in the top 10 for the first time in a long time. But it's this man you're about to see on your screen who is fully deserving of this race victory. His 12th in the Cup Series, his first for 2 years. The Belgian who moved all the way from Belgium to Germany. He's reignited his life. And Arnaud de Grief is a winner once again in the JACKOCAR Cup Series, brought to you by Premier Inn. What a night it's been, and what a way to start your season. The mystery calendar, it's worked wonders for the ERT boys as they fill all the podium spots. And what a season we are in store for here. 16 more races of this over the next, 19 weeks. And a fantastic, fantastic start. Jess Ball, anything to add to this?
I think it was about time for Arnaud. I think there was many races where he could have won the race, and he just missed out. But I think that was the race where he dominated all of them. He got the fastest lap as well. He's leading the championship. Things couldn't get more happy for Arnaud. Should I go through the race results?
Please do, yes. Be my guest.
So we got Arnaud, who is booked his ticket to the playoffs. He's safe and sound with that one. Corey in P2, Casper in third, Kieran in fourth, Gareth in fifth, Michelle in sixth, Yuri with a great race in seventh, Ben recovering to eighth, Jake in ninth, Waze in 10th, and we got Jamie Griffiths in 11th, Leroy 12th, Quinn 13th, OKK 14th, Khalifa DNF'd, as well as Risky, Mike Kelterborn, Pete Knighton, and Matt Shepherd.
So there you go. That's Portugal. We don't really have a lot to add. I can't tell you where we're racing next week. I don't even tell you what, I made the calendar only yesterday. So I'd forgotten what I made race 2. So just as well, isn't it? Kia Series returns when, Jess? Tell us.
Middle of February, with the first race being Monaco in nighttime.
Yes, and then we have a week break because someone goes on holiday, and then round 2 is after that. But Cup Series is well and truly back. The penultimate season of JACKOCAR is well underway, and I think that's all that we need to say for tonight. Thank you very much for helping, and I'm sure we'll see you in the future, young Jess.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and looking forward to many more races I'm commentating on in the future. But thank you for having me tonight.
Not to worry. God bless and good night, everybody. Adios.